Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 41 of the Elbow Nudge Podcast. But before we begin, Caroline,
Yeah.
I want to hear it.
But Susie Poo, we're having a really busy time trying to save the world from Russians and monsters and stuff.
We got to start the podcast.
Right now.
Come on.
Turn around. Look at what you see in her face. The mirror of your dreams.
Make believe I'm everywhere.
Give
it in the
light.
light. Written on the pages is the answer to a never-ending story.
Never-ending story.
Are you standing up?
I'm saluting. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. I
Reach
still have my
the
fist up.
stars. It's such a good song. It's been in my head. It died down a little bit after we were watching like Bloodsport and all that, but it's back. It's back in my head.
All right, that's all we wanted to do in this episode, guys. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, follow, honest review. You know the gist. Come on, everybody. What are we doing here?
We'll
Come
talk to you
on.
next week. Goodbye.
Turn around. Look at what you see in her face.
All right, you want to talk about the movie?
Let's talk about Neverending Story.
All right.
We're back in the 80s, of course. We never left
the 80s.
We never left the 80s. We're just week by week. We're going to stick here for a little while.
Let me see.
I'm
thinking about the next movie. Well, depending on what Davey says.
This is our way of revealing to him he's doing the next recommendation.
Oh, well, he already knows. Did you tell him? He's on the time frame there.
I haven't told him yet.
Tell him he's on the time frame, or else it's going to be Neverending Story 2.
No, not Neverending Story 2. We'll do Labyrinth. That's still the 80s. 80s fantasy musical. Why not?
Sure.
But we're still in the 80s. This is 1984. And Tony, I'm going to come right out the gate. I like this movie. I like it a lot.
I expected you to.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
Let me tell you what I think.
I almost leaned back in my chair in fright.
This movie is ugly.
No.
And I love it.
You're that Paul Rudd's daughter in Ant-Man, Cassie.
Oh yeah.
He's so ugly. I love him.
Yeah. That's exactly how I feel about this.
That's about you holding the photo of this film. You holding Falcor.
Me just pausing it at the scene where the giant bat is.
Oh my gosh.
It's so ugly.
It's so ugly. It's so magical. I feel like, Tony, we'll never get another movie like this.
We got 2 sequels.
We'll never get another movie like this.
We'll never get the ending to this movie.
No, we won't.
Because we won't watch them, according to you.
I mean, obviously I'm going out on a limb, but just from what I'm reading online, they're bad.
Including part 2.
Yeah, right? They're both bad. People really only love the first one.
I feel like we at least have to see part 2 if it's the actual completion of the book.
If it covers it, you're right, but I really don't want to damage my view of this movie. I really liked it. I like this movie a lot. I forgot. I saw it when I was a kid, and I forgot how much I liked it. Or maybe just like my child brain didn't appreciate it as much. But looking at it now, I'm like, this is beautiful. Yes, it's ugly, because I'll agree to that. It's ugly, but I like that they're committing to it. Like, they're okay with that. They want it to look otherworldly and not make it like sparkly and beautiful, but the creativity behind it, the music, the practical effects, it's all puppets. There's no CG. I mean, yes, you have like the green
Hold
screen
on a
where
second.
Falcor is flying, but I mean like all of the creatures are there.
Yeah, I want to explain that because I say ugly as in the creatures they created, but it is beautiful in the sense of what they made and the theme that they chose for this movie. The environments of Fantasia and the creatures that inhabit Fantasia is beautiful. And I wanted to bring that up too because I love that it's all puppets instead of, well, we know at the time that's usually what they were doing because the CGI wasn't there yet.
Mhm.
But it just looks so much better because it's actually something that's there. It's actually something the actor is interacting with. And I think that changes the whole mood. I bet it was fun to act on this set. If you were a kid and you were seeing a giant dragon or a giant, well, Gamork is kind of scary, but besides that, just weird looking creatures. I bet it was like just a fun house or something.
Yeah, it's so cool. And this is not one of my first, I guess, research for this film was, did Jim Henson work on this? Because he's kind of the name. If any puppets are in a movie, it's like, oh, Jim Henson. It wasn't. This is a German made film. And it's the director. His name was Wolfgang Peterson. This was his first English film, but it was all made in Germany. So they did this without the puppet magic of Jim Henson. They were putting a lot of effort into it.
And it paid off, I would say.
Absolutely.
This somehow became a classic.
It's so cool. It takes imagination to a whole new level. I feel like we've talked a lot on this podcast about children's film today. I think specifically in like our Ghibli films where and my stance on it. Kids films today are just not smart. They're very dumbed
Sorry,
down.
kids.
Not the kids themselves, but their media is not smart. The last time I cannot think of the last time I saw like a really good kids movie where it was on the level of like these films. And Neverending
Didn't you
Story,
just watch Minions Rise of Gru?
have not seen Minions
Oh,
Rise
that's
of
why.
Gru.
All right, that explains it.
Apologies to all Minion fans.
Sorry, Ashley.
Sorry, a whole population of boomers on Facebook.
Sorry, gentle minions, TikTokers, and Steve Carell.
What? Gentle Minion TikTokers.
That was a hashtag. Gentle minions when they dressed up as gentlemen in their suits. Watch
Oh,
Minions, gentle minions.
I didn't even know that. Look at that.
Well, look
There's
who's
hope for
educating
you
who now.
yet. There's hope for you yet.
I get around sometimes.
But, like with the state of children's movies, I think 9 out of 10 films for kids today are you know, just not good. And I look at these films that were made for kids in the 80s, like Neverending Story, and so much creativity and effort, the music, the writing, it's so amazing. Like they're not afraid to put Atreyu in danger. They're not afraid. He stabs. By the way, spoils everybody. Spoilers. We are not a spoiler-free podcast. I just wanted to get that out of the way before I
Ever.
start jumping in. Yeah, we're not ever. Just disclaimer. But Atreyu straight up stabs the wolf, and there's blood, and he's got a big cut across his chest, and it's really sad and gloomy and Artax. Like, they're not afraid to have you go through emotions rather than just writing on like fart jokes and things like that.
Hey, don't diss the fart jokes, okay?
I'm just saying, fart
That
jokes are
is a
good
staple
in
of
spare.
comedy.
But like, what's that freaking movie that's coming out right now that is about like the dogs and being a samurai?
Super Pets,
Paws of Fury.
DC. Oh, that one?
Yeah, like I saw some clips of that online because people are making fun of it. It is so dumb. It is so dumb.
Really?
That one and like the Super Pets.
Yeah, Kevin Hart and Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
These are just cash grabs. They're like, you know what? Kids want to watch cartoons. Let's just make a cartoon.
Sure.
Let's just do it. We'll get money back. We'll get our money back guaranteed.
I mean, I don't watch kids' movies anymore. I mean, besides DComs and besides Neverending Story and besides everything else that we reviewed so far. But besides all that, I don't watch kids' movies anymore. But I want to believe, I want to have hope that there's still good ones out there. Because this movie taught me about hope, to keep hope alive. But maybe we're following the wrong ones.
I like your optimistic outlook. I keep tabs on kids' movies. I like watching any kind of like animation. That's
What
the
about
thing
Sea
too, is like
Beast?
I you're so right. Sea Beast is good. Sea Beast is good. I changed my tune. The
All
Sea
right.
Beast is really good
I'm
on
glad I did it
Netflix.
with one movie.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's a very recent movie. By the way, anybody, if you haven't seen The Sea Beast on Netflix, give it a watch. It's good.
I'm about to.
It's really good. It's got pirates. Come on, man. That's your thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to refine my love for the sea.
Especially with the update coming out tomorrow.
Yeah. We'll see. Of Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's move on. Before we get too optimistic, Caroline, I want to bring the mood down again because
Okay.
this
All
movie
right.
is very, very sad.
It is.
This movie made me feel just sad and down because not even the sad scenes, not even Artax, not even the giant rock, not even all that. There's just so many scenes. Like the whole movie has a theme of kind of a gloom around it. Like even starting with Bastion and first of all, his relationship with his dad. I think it's all right. I don't really know. We just saw one moment in time, their breakfast.
It's pretty cold, you know?
Exactly. I was just gonna say that. I'm like, I did not get a warm feeling from that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not bad, it just wasn't very loving.
Yeah.
And then he goes to school, and then he doesn't go to school. Well, even he before that he gets bullied, right? And then he goes to school, and then he cuts the entire day to read up in the attic in a haunted, dingy old attic with cobwebs and stuff. And that's just I don't know. It's just overall sad. He's alone. He's reading by himself. The whole school's empty at one point. And then on top of that, everything that happens in Fantasia, like there's just a feeling before the nothing consumes everything. It's still a feeling of people. I feel like people are just scraping by, like all these creatures and I don't know dwarfs and whatever those races are.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're not. None of them are really thriving outside of maybe the ivory tower because it just looks nice. But everyone just looks like they're barely making it. No one really looks happy to me. And this is again before it gets consumed. Like everything is just dead. There's a place called the Swamp of Sadness.
Yeah.
Like what's that about? And so let me start off with this question for you. Fantasia is a land of humankind's hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
So why is there so many dreary and gloomy landscapes here? Like why is there a swamp of sadness? Are people dreaming and hoping for sadness in their lives? I don't know.
I think that that's the culmination of people who are sad. And so, however many people are sad, that's why the swamp of sadness was so vast and so troublesome to get through.
And I bet a lot of people died through that swamp because we already saw Artax. R.I.P.
I'm not over that. That's so traumatizing to even go back to that scene in my brain.
I closed off my heart to endure that scene.
Oh,
I can't take animals dying, and I had to stonewall myself.
it's such a long scene too, and they really like zoom in on the horse.
His eyes, the horse looked like it
Yeah,
was actual,
like it was actually
an actual
dying and
terror.
sad. Yeah, like that horse looked terrified, and that's what hurt me the most. Is like, I think you can kind of suspend your belief a little bit and maybe not get too invested when it's like, oh, the animal doesn't know what's going on. We're okay, but that horse truly believed it was sinking in the swamp of sadness. That's the
Is that
scariest
horse
part.
actor okay? That's what I want to know. I didn't
Anybody
see no horses were harmed in the making of this film.
Neverending Story, you better have passed the animal abuse inspection.
His eyes were so wide when he was sinking.
Yeah.
It's like
Where's
he knew death was upon him.
Tax? You're sinking. I like the
You stupid horse.
He was just sad. Like
No, you never call your beloved animal stupid,
that's very
especially when
true.
he's dying.
Yeah, yeah. He was just like, "Don't be a," like. I think he was as a child. He was lashing out, Atreyu.
Sure.
But man, they really held on to that scene, and I think that that's kind of like the. It kind of reminds me of we've spoken about it before, but the Don Bluth philosophy, where it's like you can make the movie super sad and depressing, but as long as it has a happy ending, you're good. That's kind of the vibe I was getting with this film. Is it's very like they have to stop the nothing. It's always like this imminent danger, and it's really sad. And even when they're all huddling together in that kind of council room, and yeah, there's only a little bit of races there. You would think that a little bit of species there, because you would think if this is the manifestation of human dreams, there would be so much more, so many more things. Like, where are the dragons? If Falcor is a luck dragon, that means there's more dragons. Where are they? And it just really feels like they're scraping to get by.
There's a lot of nothingness before the nothing even becomes a thing. It's just
Mhm.
vast land, empty emptiness.
And I think the Empress talks about it at the end, where she says like people are beginning to forget to dream. Like they're not going into what's it called, like their imaginations anymore. They're not hoping for fantasy worlds. And that's why like it all rode on Bastion, because Bastion was one of the few, if not the only kid to like believe in fantasy.
What about the old guy, the curmudgeon smoking the pipe? He believed.
I think he believed, but I think that what they were saying is like children, their dreams have more power because they'll believe their dreams versus
Mm,
an adult will know like, oh, it's just my imagination. It's not real. But a child is more likely to be like, it's real. Fantasia's real.
right. Yeah, just like Bastion was rationing his PBJ to make
Yeah.
the journey to the end of the
It's a
book.
long journey. A tray you wouldn't. Bastion's so cute.
So Fantasia is a real world parallel to Earth in this movie. Because at the end, he's riding Falcor.
Mm-hmm.
So that actually exists, but like in a different dimension.
Yeah, upside down style.
So, oh, that's another thing.
Nah.
Oh, the Stranger Things. What do you call it? Stranger Things inspired things.
Yeah, just
Yep,
add
that
to
makes sense.
it. On top of Bastion Balshazar Bucks looking like Noah, looking like Will Byers.
Yeah.
Bastion Balshazar Bucks
And then you called out the
Byers.
Empress looking like 11.
The Empress does look like 11.
The nothingness looks like the upside down to
The
me, at least.
clouds. It
Yeah, the
looks like the,
clouds.
the clouds of the upside down.
Yeah.
There's a lot of similarities here, Duffer Bros. We see you. We see you.
So I just want to figure this out. I
Uh
feel
huh.
like there's a lot of mystery in this movie,
Uh huh.
which I liked.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of when they don't over explain things and just leave it be.
I'm a big fan when they don't tell us everything about the world. Leave some
Yeah.
things up to mystery and intrigue.
So going just a little bit back to the humankind's hopes and dreams. I'm just saying, is everyone just very pessimistic or not very hopeful for the future, and that's why Fantasia is looking this way? Or are people, because I thought originally when Gumork was explaining what Fantasia is, I thought they only grabbed the positive dreams, because when people are dreaming, I imagine their future, their life, their spouse, whatever it is, they're dreaming of good things and positive things, and I thought that's what populated this world. But does it include nightmares, like actual, you're going to sleep and you dream of horrible things? Does that get populated into Fantasia?
I think so. I think that that is what they were trying to convey too, is that it's not filled with just good dreams. It's filled with all dreams.
And then hopes, because when he said hopes and dreams, I wasn't thinking people asleep and whatever they dream. I was thinking what they,
What they hope for the future.
yeah, what they aspire to have or hope that could happen.
Mhm.
But yeah, none of Fantasia seemed like a wonderland.
I
like
think
a place you would want to visit.
just until the end, I think when they're flying around and you see all the mountains, specifically when Atreyu and Falcor are flying around because they're trying to find the border of Fantasia. And
Right.
that's where we're kind of seeing this beautiful, it looks like Earth. Like it looks like just the Swiss Alps or something, but it looks beautiful nonetheless.
Oh yeah, those parts look beautiful. That's true. Yeah, whenever it was away from any of the creatures.
Like rock biters,
Yeah,
racing snails,
Willy Wonka,
and stupid bats.
stupid bats,
The
whatever the other guy's name was, Goblin,
night
little.
hob.
Oh yeah, yeah, the Night Hob.
The night hob kind of scared me a bit. He was pretty freaky looking.
More than the bat.
Yeah. Did you
The
know that
bat is
also?
scarier to me.
Remember how I told you in the opening scene? I was like, are they dubbing over his lines? Like his. I thought his mouth didn't match up with what he was saying.
Yeah.
They did dub over his lines because apparently he cussed.
Oh.
And when they were, because this, like I said, this movie was made in Germany. So when they were gonna get distribution for it to come to America, America was like, you can't cuss in a kids film. Like, you can't and say an expletive in the beginning. I think some of them say like damn and stuff, but they're like, you got to dub over that. So that's why they dubbed over his lines.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I want the German cut.
I was right. The German cut.
I got to see it how it was made. The original intent. Is it the same director for part 2?
Let me check.
And while you're at it, 3.
Let's see. Wolfgang Peterson did 1. Nope, different director for 2, and then does 2 have the same as 3? Different directors all around.
Wow. We got to see it just out of curiosity.
I mean, I'm open to it, but I've heard 3 is like one of the worst films.
It's hard to stick the landing.
I think Variety even said it was absolutely charmless.
So they probably use CGI.
Tony, you'll actually find that there's no CGI. I think, of course, from like, I think, oh, it's worse than no CGI. They changed the puppet for Falcor.
To what?
Oh, Tony. He looks scary. Hang
I'm
on.
anticipating a picture on the way.
Yeah. Let me just. He's like crashing my Google Images.
He's too horrifying.
He's too terrible. They don't even want to load the image. So I'm gonna send you a reference just to refresh your mind. This is Falcor in Neverending Story
Oh.
1. This is 1.
Oh, okay.
We saw this. And this is 2.
Wow.
I'm gonna try to find another image.
Who's that?
That is Bastion. They also completely replaced the cast. Nobody comes back in any of the movies. They don't consistently have the same actors.
All right. I'm not going to say this as a joke, but I think he looks better. Yeah.
You take that back, Tony.
I was going to say, we didn't even get to Falcor yet. Falcor, he is a strange creature.
Tony, look at this goofy face. And you think that's better?
You just got used to how Falcor looks. Look at how strange Falcor looks
He's not
originally.
supposed to look unstrange. He's supposed to look strange. At least in Neverending Story 1, he's majestic.
Something doesn't sit right with me in Falcor.
He's a dragon. Look at him. He's got like wise eyes and the dragon snout. The first one he looks like a dog.
That's the best picture I've ever seen of Falcor. All the other ones, look at the other one you sent me. He looked like a weird alien. He looks like a ugly, old Grogu looking mutation.
I mean, that's the picture. If you Google Falcor, that's the first one that
Look
pops
at
up.
his ears.
I refuse to believe that and even think that Neverending Story 3 looks better than 1. Also, did you know that there's a place in Germany where you can actually, like, all the props from Neverending Story are there in
Oh,
perfect
nice.
condition and you could go ride them?
Nice.
You can go and take a picture on Falcor.
Everybody could be Bastion now.
Yeah.
Doesn't that look creepy though? Look at the picture you sent me.
Ah,
Falcor is not a majestic looking dragon, not a wise looking dragon. You found a very good angle of him in that one picture. He generally looks kind of creepy.
that scene where it's him like with the backdrop of the stars and you see his pink scales kind of glistening. I think that that's so beautiful.
It is in a creepy way.
It's
It
only
is very
whenever his
beautiful.
tongue comes out that I'm like, Falcor, no, put that back.
What about when he winks at you?
It's
Atreyu!
Atreyu,
Atreyu!
Atreyu.
He's cool. I really do like Falcor, but it's there's something very weird about him. The way he talks, the way he winks at you, his tongue. He wants you to scratch his ear.
I remember this is not indicative of our final thoughts for Neverending Story 3 if we ever watch it, but I do remember watching the Nostalgia Critic review that movie, and I remember the voice actor for Falcor changed and he sounded like Patrick Starr. And I think that that's just another reason why it was a no.
Wouldn't that be a yes from how much you love
I love
SpongeBob memes?
SpongeBob, but I also know when to keep my SpongeBob away from media.
Okay. Well, yeah, obviously I wouldn't change the original, but this doesn't look horrendous or bad or anything. That's a fine looking Falcor. If that was the first one, we would have fell in love with that one. Honestly, think about it this way, for real.
There
If
is
this
truth
if
to
this
that.
part 3 Falcor was the first Falcor and then you saw the first Falcor as the third one, that would look like an abomination.
I
That
don't
would
know
look
about
like,
that.
"Whoa, what happened? How did they mess this up?"
I don't know about that. I do believe that, there is a lot of power in being the first, like, of like that's even the same thing of like when you hear covers of song, it's like, oh, I like the original better. It's like, well, yeah, that's the first one you heard. And so you're right in that this movie really helps you fall in love with the original Falcor, but I don't know if I would see the original and see this new one and be like, oh, that one's better.
You
I don't
can't
know.
know.
I don't know about that.
When I invent a time machine, I'm gonna check. I'm gonna ask you in the past. Don't worry, I'll figure it out, and I'll get your
Uh-huh.
answer. I'll figure it out.
Uh-huh.
I'll get your honest review of Falcor.
Falcor's pretty cool. Even though he did replace Artax. I love
He did.
Artax.
He did replace Artex.
I love Artax. So majestic. I'm so glad
Atreyu!
Artax Atreyu.
Does his voice even sound like? I feel like I could have fully trusted him. Like I trusted him maybe 95%.
You know what? You're kind of right. He has a little bit of a what's the word? I can't think of it, but yeah, you're right. You're onto something there. It's like not he felt like he had something under his sleeve a little bit, and you don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah,
I mean, he helps. He finds the Orin for
he's very
Atreyu.
helpful.
He rescues him from the Nothing.
Yeah,
He's able to withstand the Nothing. The Nothing didn't eat him up.
yeah, that's true. Pretty lucky, you could say.
Pretty lucky.
So what makes him the Dragon of Luck?
I don't think like he specifically like earned that as a title. I think he just is the Dragon of Luck. I know that there are some, obviously, like in China, there are some like mythologies that have dragons associated with luck. So that might just be part of the fantasy, and they're just bringing that over into this movie.
But nothing related to what somebody was dreaming of or hoping for.
No, I don't think so. I mean, that's possible because that's what Fantasia is. It's just the embodiment of that. So maybe it is something that somebody dreamed up, but it could be rooted a little bit in mythology reality.
Okay. Let's talk about the Neverending Story book in the movie.
It's a pretty cool book. It's a cool looking book.
I'm just trying to think about this. Let me try to not break my brain while I explain this.
Oh, snap.
Who wrote this book? Somebody from Fantasia or somebody who knows about Fantasia? And how can they know about Fantasia without writing this book first?
Hmm. Or is it like Jumanji? Who made Jumanji?
I have no idea.
It's just the same thing with the Neverending Story.
Yeah. So that adds to my Jumanji theory.
Oh.
There was no theory, actually. I just said, is this Jumanji with books?
I didn't want to answer because I didn't want to tell you right at the beginning of the movie.
Caroline, is this Jumanji with
We
books?
were 10 minutes in. Is this Jumanji with books? And then I didn't say anything, and you're like, it's Jumanji with books, huh?
It's Jumanji now. Is
is
this
this
Jumanji now?
is this book Jumanji? Dot dot dot. It's book
It's Jumanji.
Jumanji.
I never thought about who created Jumanji. That's a good question too.
That's the same. It's the same kind of plot point with
That's
this.
true. Somebody created a board game.
Somebody made it. Somebody made the dice. You know. We
But I
just
guess it
don't.
came to my attention now because there's an author for a book, right? So who wrote it?
There's a
I would love to know that.
manufacturer for a board game.
That's true, but that's too many. That's too long of a process.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Same thing for I wonder if the book of Neverending Story talks about who wrote Neverending Story.
Who wrote Neverending Story in our world?
Oh, what's his name? I have it here. Hang on. Michael End is his name. Like
Ed?
Ende. End.
He wrote a book called Never Ending, and his last name is End.
Yeah. Never-ending story. Clapping
Let's
right in
get
my
a round of
ears.
applause. That's incredible. What's his full name? I got distracted by the end part.
Michael Andreas Helmuth End.
Wow.
He's German.
Wow. I'm impressed.
Never-ending
Does he have a Twitter? Can we find out who
story.
wrote the book?
I don't Tony, you will be very sad to hear that he has passed away already.
Oh.
In 1995 he passed away. It's been a
Uh,
while. He had a stomach cancer and passed away in 1995.
uh, wow.
I know.
And I thought the movie was sad.
We just got a whole other layer on this pod. Based on what I'm seeing here, a lot of his works are in German, and Neverending Story and 2 other books were translated in English.
I really want to read it now.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious on reading it.
So, yeah, this is one of those kids movies that it just feels like, is it really for kids? Or I guess you could say it's for any age, right? But it's just so, it's smart in the way that it's like we're gonna treat these kids like they know, like they know what's going on.
We're
We're
gonna
not gonna
treat these
baby them.
kids like actual thinking human
Yeah,
beings.
with imaginations, right?
Yeah.
This is such an interesting movie because of that. Like I'm also thinking of the scene where he runs into the temple, I guess, where
Mhm.
there's paintings on the walls of what's to happen, the
Oh
legends that are
yeah.
foretold.
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel like there's scenes that I probably didn't fully understand. And I don't know if there's more to it or if it's just like, hey, this is just a temple where, yeah, it just explains what's going to go on. Or if there's a little bit more than that. Do you feel that way? Or
Oh,
am I
I
overthinking that?
definitely feel that way. I kind of wish I read the book before we did this pod, but we were talking about the movie. And from what I'm reading, there's a lot of subtle differences between the book and the movie. And like specifically the nothing and even like what we're talking about right now, this whole like temple prophecy, what's going on, it's a lot more complex in the book that, because obviously they have time to explain it, whereas in the movie they're like, it's eating everything. But I definitely feel like there was a layer of information that I wasn't getting. And I guess like that kind of adds to it because we just talked about how like I don't need to know everything for to enjoy it. But I feel like I was a little out of the know in some points.
Right. Like for that scene specifically, you're seeing everything that's happened up to this point, including losing Artax.
Artax.
And then the very next thing he sees is the image of Gamork about to, or just like hiding in the shadows. And then that's the very next thing that happens immediately. As soon as he sees that, boom, then he's actually there. You hear his growl.
Yeah.
I wonder if, let's say he kept on exploring that temple, is it there predicting what happens with Bastion and the wish that he makes and him flying Falcor? Is all of that there? Do you think that would be there, or you think that's being written?
I think that's being written.
He's changing destiny.
Yeah.
There is something hinting about that because I feel like the final pages were probably blank. I don't think they ever showed it, but I feel like he's probably filling it in.
It's like you ever watch Kung Fu Panda?
No,
Can I spoil the movie
we
for you?
spoke about this just the last episode.
Can I spoil it for you?
I'm gonna watch it.
Okay. Then never mind.
That's Jack Black. I gotta watch it. I'm assuming you could change your destiny.
Yeah. It's not like a change your destiny, but I'll keep it as vague as possible to avoid any spoilers. But people, if you've watched Kung Fu Panda, you'll know. If you know, you know. There's a piece of paper that he's reading like instructions for how to master kung fu, and then he gets to this section and there's nothing there. And he's like, "What? Like why is there nothing here?" And it you kind of think at first they're going to tell you like, "Oh, because that's happening now." But it turns out that that piece of paper is shiny, and when you angle it a certain way it's a mirror. So it's almost like saying like believe in yourself. Like the power is in you. And so I'm wondering if that's the kind of paper Bastion's looking at. It's just a mirror.
That didn't sound very vague to me. It sounds like exactly what happens in the movie.
I'm not telling you everything around it.
Now I know to wait. The big reveal is gonna be that it's a mirror, a reflective piece of paper. What kind of vague explanation was that? That was exactly detailed.
Mission failed. I'll get him next time.
How do you change it if it was a detailed explanation of that?
I would tell you a lot more, but I will
You'll
not.
tell me the whole movie.
I'll tell you. I won't ruin this any further.
All right, it's okay. It doesn't spoil the whole movie, but that was hilariously detailed.
Hilariously not vague enough. I see.
Yeah.
But I'm looking here at Gamork, and apparently one of the big changes that I was reading up on right here, just on the fly. That's how we do it in Elbow Nudge. We're just doing it on the fly. The nothing is actually not in and of itself a living entity. It's kind of like it's an event that was kicked off by this. Because I think Gamork even says like, "I serve the power behind the nothing."
Right.
And that is a group of people called the manipulators. And the manipulators are it's a group of antagonists that want to stomp out all hope of humanity. They want to control the human race by taking away their hope. And so they believe that if Gamork kills Atreyu, it will speed up the nothing eating up Fantasia because everybody's riding their hope on Atreyu. That's why like there's the last bit of Fantasia left and why like the Ivory Tower survives because everybody still believes in Atreyu and still believes that he will rescue like save the Empress and stuff like that. So that's why Gamork goes to hunt him down and try to kill him. But that's something that is not even touched upon in the movie.
So is it not the manipulators' hopes that they can control everything?
Uh, uh,
Do they not themselves have hopes and dreams
turn
for world
around.
domination?
Look at what you see.
That's all, folks.
Roll credits in your face. The mirror of
The way they
you.
explained the nothing, it made perfect sense to me, but it's also impossible to show in a visual medium because they explain it to be nothing. They're like, there's nothing there. There's no darkness. It's just nothing. I'm like, I get it. It's like literally
They're like, "Is it a hole? A hole would be something, but this was nothing."
Yeah, it's like if you go to sleep and you don't dream, one of those sleeps where you're not dreaming, that's actually I didn't make that connection until now. But if you don't dream and you're thinking of nothing, there's not even darkness. It's not your eyelids or anything. It's just
Nothing.
nothing. You're asleep and then you're awake. I guess they were relating it to like apathy or something.
Yeah, you're onto something there. Yeah.
But they showed it with a very cool looking storm and lightning and stuff. But that's because they can't show nothing. How do you show nothing on
Yeah.
in a movie?
And big, strong hands.
And
Oh,
I failed them.
the rock biter.
Yeah, I rewatched that scene because that was another really good scene.
That was a really, really good scene.
Yeah, I feel like, well, Willy Wonka, the racing snail, the night hob, they all knew about the nothing, right? And then they moved to that part of the forest or whatever to just keep living life however they can.
Mm-hmm.
It did feel like some sort of melancholy, like, all right, this is life now. This is as good as it's gonna get.
Yeah. They're just biding their time until the nothing comes.
Yeah, it consumes everything.
Unless Atreyu can stop them. I
So
love it.
this is just, oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I love Atreyu. My favorite character in the whole movie. It's my boy Atreyu.
He's a good character.
Did you know that he is the one who inspired? You know how Paul Atreides in Dune?
Okay.
That's who that last name is inspired by Atreyu from Neverending Story.
Man, look at this movie.
Yeah, and you know what? Dune was giving me some of the same. Like if you look at some of the concept art and like the images from Dune, it looks like Neverending Story, that ivory tower, and even
Right?
in there's some of the art that Dune has done. Like there's oh, I can't remember the name of the worm, but
Big worm.
it's like it looks very inspired by Neverending Story. And I think Frank Herbert has even come out and said like he confirmed the Atreyu Atreides thing.
It sounds very similar.
I'm sure if I was to look up more, because that this is just listed on the IMDb kind of trivia, and then I fact checked it, and other websites have shown like the interview with Frank Herbert. Like, yes, I was inspired by Atreyu, and I'm sure if I dug more, there would be more references because it really does feel when I look at like the concept art for Neverending Story, and then looking at the book art for Dune. There's a lot of similarities in the style, colors, to architecture, things like that.
Now let me ask you something
Uh-huh.
personal.
Oh, okay.
Did this movie inspire you?
Absolutely.
In what way?
I think it because I saw it when I was young, but I definitely think it inspired my love for fantasy movies, just fantasy in general. This was the first fantasy-ish. I think it's like true fantasy because Star Wars and stuff can be considered fantasy, but it's space. It's sci-fi. You put that in the sci-fi category. But this is where I really started liking because I think it was after this movie I saw like Labyrinth and I had a list on my phone of like these 80s uh fantasy films. But it really did inspire me as a kid. I was
Dark
like, "Oh,
Crystal.
yeah, Dark Crystal." And like there's a movie called Lady Hawk and it just really paved the way for me liking films like this with even the concept like it's imagination.
There's one that I think everyone will kind of get from this, and it's the magic of reading,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know if this was sponsored by PBS or something, but there's a strong theme of just the imagination and adventure you could go on by reading a book,
Yeah, this was definitely inspired by like reading Rainbow.
right?
Just and that is like something that is the unintended good message about this film is, as a kid, your imagination does all the work when you read. Not just as kids, but Kids will use their imagination more while they read. And then just everybody, your imagination works overdrive while you're reading.
Yeah, so I would say that's one of the biggest themes I got from this. But I also want to say, an inspiration of mine from this movie was, and I've said it a few times, but like how it looks ugly, but not in a bad way. Like it just looks different, and I think it's so creative in that sense. On top of just the choice of color and the scenes and the puppets and the creation of how they'll look and stuff like that, just how they decided to make these different species look. I think that
Yeah.
was, to make them look not polished, not like beautiful elves or anything like that, or like they are kind of like dingy, like a little grimy. It is like a dark movie, a gloomy movie, and I think it just makes me think like, yeah, who decides what's beautiful to look at or what's cool or what should, what elves or dwarves or whatever should look like. I don't know if there are dwarves in this movie. I'm just those are just races that are coming to head, but the big stone head things in the beginning, like they were in the council on the ivory tower.
Those are
Like, what
so
is that?
cool.
Yeah,
Those
they
are
don't have any bodies.
they remind me of Dreamer Spirit Away, where Yubaba has those three heads that are just going hup, hup,
Yeah,
hup. They reminded me of that.
it's cool. I like that. Did I tell you about? Well, I think I did, but do you remember me telling you about the Nickelodeon documentary I saw?
Uh-huh. I do remember.
The thing that stuck with me the most from that documentary was the person in charge of like giving the green light for these shows. She was bringing up like Rugrats was one of the first. Then it was like Ren and Stimpy, and then it was, I think it was like Doug as well. But anyways, specifically for Rugrats and Ren and Stimpy, she's like, perfect. These are the shows we want. She's like, it looks ugly. I like ugly. She said that specifically. She's like, it looks ugly. I like ugly. I'm like, that's true, because why do you want it to look like everything else? Like Rugrats is a very specific style of cartoon,
Oh yeah.
and it looks
Oh yeah.
awesome.
It's classic.
And just like this, you can't replicate Falcor. Even a Neverending Story couldn't replicate Falcor.
Yeah. They couldn't even when they wanted to.
Yeah, so it's I really love that idea of just even thinking about that. Like, what makes it ugly necessarily? Who's deciding that it's ugly or beautiful?
It's
It
ugly
just
by
is.
like glamour movie status, but I think the ugly just makes it more beautiful as a film.
Yeah.
It's not being afraid to really dive into their creativity. It's like we're not trying to make this movie look good. We're trying to make this movie look fantasy.
And just the creativity, like, also I forgot to ask you, why do you think Atreyu had to leave all his weapons to go on this journey?
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good question.
There's small things like that I was thinking about. Like, why did he have to do that? Why did he
Yeah.
have to meet? I wrote it down somewhere. What's the name of the turtle?
Morla.
Morla. Yeah, and Morla was just like you're in
You,
your princess is in another castle, like a non mission.
you as a turtle.
Yes, the most relatable character, Morla.
Yeah, he really was like, oh, you found me, but you got to go somewhere else. The Southern Oracle.
So, well, yeah. First of all, why do you think he had to leave the weapons? Is that meaningful of anything, or just like, leave your weapons?
This is another thing where I feel like the book probably explained it, but the movie is like, you must leave your weapons.
And he's like, okay.
I want to guess that something. I'm going out on a limb here. This is not told to us at all in the film. There's nowhere in the movie does it say why he has to leave his weapons. But my guess is that you're trying to save imagination and hope, and you can't save hope with violence.
Hmm.
That's just my first like
A
when I,
very
when I think about it.
Miyazaki answer.
I try.
Okay.
That's just kind of my first when I think about it right now. Like that, maybe that's what they were going for, but you know, I wonder if the book has it. Why?
I didn't think about it much either, but right now, trying to piece it together, I'm thinking maybe it's a sign that the cure that he's looking for can't be attained through a battle.
Oh, I like that.
Right? Like this isn't the way that you're gonna get it, or this isn't the type of journey you're gonna go on. It's not one of brawn. I guess is of heart. I don't know what it was.
The goal is hope.
Hope.
Rebellions are built on hope. Tack off the Rogue One reference.
There you go.
This is a brief aside, but I want to show you the council room where they're all sitting and waiting for the empress's attendant to come out.
Uh huh.
I want you to look at this image of some familiar figures in the audience.
No way.
This is all real.
What? I don't remember this.
This is all.
No. No.
It's in one of the scenes.
No, it wasn't. This is not real. Hold on.
It's even in
What?
the IMDb. I fact checked it on multiple articles.
How
It's
did I not notice a single one of these? It didn't even look this populated when we first saw it.
it's not like the first scene, because the first scene is where you start seeing like the heads and stuff. But
Yeah.
if you go back, there's a part where they're talking about later on when they're talking about Atreyu. It's like we need the human child Atreyu, and then it kind of zooms out, and that's where you can kind of see some of these figures. But it doesn't hold on this scene. I went back and I looked at the scene. It's very brief.
So this is the Infinity War of Neverending Story.
For our audio listeners, if you really like enhance the brightness too, because the picture I sent you at the end, that's how it looks in the movie. It's dark, and that's why you really can't kind of tell what's in there. And you're also the focal point is the door with the man standing on top, so like your eyes might not be drawn to it, but
Right.
in the audience is Yoda, Gumby, Chewbacca, Mickey Mouse, Ewoks, C3PO, and ET.
This is the most ambitious crossover in history.
And people said Avengers was the crossover to end all crossovers.
Why you gotta say it like that when I'm right here?
My bad. I need to put some more respect on that, at least for you.
Nobody said it was a crossover to end all crossovers.
I think I saw some people say that. But yeah.
No. They said it was the most ambitious, but you know what? I don't know
I,
if the Russo said it or Kevin Feige said it, but the most ambitious crossover in history. This is crazy. That does not look like a Mickey Mouse.
yeah, that doesn't look like Mickey Mouse.
That's like a Tim Burton Mickey Mouse.
I'm doubting that one big time. Maybe like the old Mickey Mouse. You
Well,
know, see
you
the
definitely see the iconic 3 circles, ears and head, but those legs?
I'm
That's a
thinking
creepy.
I'm thinking of the old creepy Mickey Mouse. Have you ever seen that old Mickey Mouse? The rubber hose style?
Yeah,
I'm thinking of that Mickey Mouse.
like Steamboat Mickey, but even before that.
Yeah, a little before that. Like, look. This is the old Mickey Mouse.
So this is where E.T. went. He went to Fantasia.
He went to Fantasia.
Wow. I can't believe that. How do they all make a deal? Like, hey, can your character be in my movie? Sure.
I
Two
know,
Star
right?
Wars. Oh no, 3 Star Wars characters.
I mean, Star Wars wasn't owned by Disney at the time.
Wait,
They were kind
four
of,
Star Wars characters.
and I think Steven Spielberg didn't work on this movie, but I'm seeing somewhere that Amblin Studios was involved at some point. I think with distribution, and that's like where ET would come in. Also, did you know Steven Spielberg in his office has the Orin
Oh yeah.
in a glass case framed?
Wow.
Yeah, so he liked this film.
I would say if he has a whole case to display
He
the
has
Orin.
the Orin. This is why they can't make a remake of Neverending Story. He's keeping it under lock and
So,
key.
what's the whole point of the Orin? Is it just to represent a never-ending story? That's it. Just the Ouroboros, just constantly going around.
I think so, yeah. Well, I think that from the outside, not in the movie. I think from the outside, yes, that's the reason that's the symbol for the never-ending story. And from the inside, what did he say? That it was going to keep him safe.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
It would protect him, and where is it? It's a medallion called the Orin that can guide and protect Atreyu in the quest. Oh, that's even I'm reading here because that was one of my questions is why did Atreyu not sink in the swamp of sadness seeing his horse die? That's the saddest thing to go through. If we would all be sinking in the swamp of sadness. But the Orin is what protected him from sinking.
Really?
That's what it's saying here. The Orin is the one that helped him was it stay alive when Falcor's rescued him from falling in the swamp?
What about Morla? How come Morla's the only thing that's alive in the Swamp of Sadness?
Yeah. And even then, are they truly even living?
Is Morla eternally sad?
Tony, you got anything you want to get off your chest?
Yeah, I do actually. It's been a hard couple years.
Oh no. Oh no, 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 no,
Is
no.
Morla the ultimate introvert?
I think so. They even talk to themselves. They're the
Yeah.
first non binary in film. We,
Really?
us, they. No, I'm just.
I know. No, I was trying to think because you know what I thought of?
Hmm.
What was her name in Solo?
Oh.
What was the droid's name?
Oh. What was
L
L?
L3?
So I think you're onto something. Yeah. Solo droid. L337.
Oh, I forgot. Leet.
Leet?
Yeah. L337, is that for real?
Yeah.
Wow. We got some gamers up in Star Wars. Uh but anyways, I was gonna say C3PO then. Because he came before Neverending Story.
I'm reading right here. Morla is the well, also Morla is the ancient one, as we forgot to mention.
Oh. Oh, look at that.
Got a little Tilda Swinton here. Why is the ancient one in the Swamp of Sadness?
And how's Morla alive this whole time? That's what I want to know. Because everything else is dead. Or there is nothing else.
Morla is just maybe Morla is the sadness in the swamps of sadness. Because isn't that like that's another really depressing thing too? Is when Morla talks and says, "We've been alone for so long, we started talking to ourselves."
Right.
That's why Morla refers to herself as a we
Yeah.
or an
Going a
us.
little crazy.
Yeah, poor Morla.
Or just a coping mechanism.
No visitors. Doesn't have any friends.
Until Atreyu shows up.
Is Atreyu a friend? She's allergic to him.
Yeah, he's too young. But everyone's going to be too young to Morla.
That's true. How are you? Like, I'm allergic to young humans, but you're the ancient one.
Or I think Morla just said, I'm allergic to
Young
the
humans.
young. Oh, is it
Young
young
people?
humans?
Yes. I think that she said young people.
Yeah, young people. Yeah, because Atreyu's not a human.
I love the young people. You know what? Speaking on that note of Atreyu is not human. Did you know Atreyu in the book? He looks too human in Neverending Story. That was one of the things that the author of the book didn't like about the
Mr. End,
movie.
Mr.
Yeah,
Michael End.
Mr. Michael End. Another applause. He didn't like that Atreyu looked too human because Atreyu is supposed to look like one of the creatures in Neverending Story in
Also
Fantasia.
hideous.
Well, so in the book, it describes him as having green skin and purple hair, but he does have, I guess, like the look of the Native American outfit that Bastion was thinking of.
Right?
So some people have gone on to try to Photoshop how he was supposed to look in the movie, and this is what I found.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
Hulk colors?
I'm kind of okay with the Atreyu we got in the movie. I just wish that maybe they should have put a more emphasis that he's not human.
Well, he would have also looked a lot uglier too. He wouldn't have looked like a boy with green skin and purple hair. He would have looked like a gremlin or something. He probably would have had boils on his face. His hair would have been all spiky and stuff like that. That's a real Atreyu.
The real Atreyu is not the Atreyu we've known this whole time.
No.
Noah Hathaway is the little boy who portrays Atreyu.
Okay.
He's actually a really white boy, and for they tried to make him green, Gomorrah style, but the director of the film didn't like the way he looked. He was like, he looks like a mushroom. I don't like this. So instead, they decided to go full Native American motif, and they made him get a spray tan.
Whoa.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell.
I couldn't tell, but yeah, Noah Hathaway is pretty pasty.
They should have at least made his hair purple. That would have been cool.
Maybe, yeah, give him something kind of otherworldly.
Just like Holdo.
Yeah.
Is Holdo a human? No, right? She's not a human because of her colored hair.
Holdo's a lot of things.
She's in the movie. That's what she is.
Yep. Yep, she's in the movie.
But that was the intention, right? Because she had colored hair. She wasn't a human. She was some sort of alien, right? Am I off the mark on this one?
You know, I don't think you're too off the mark. I don't know how deep, and obviously I haven't looked into Last Jedi,
You're the Star Wars fan here. You should have
but
the answers. Come on.
I'm assuming that's what they're going for. Is she's something?
Okay.
So in 2019, the little girl who plays the Empress and Noah Hathaway, they met up like to as a reunion for Neverending Story. And speaking of purple hair, look at Noah Hathaway's hair.
Now that looks like a Fantasia looking character right there.
He just embraced it.
Wow. So this is Atreyu.
That's Atreyu today.
All right, listeners. He has a mohawk. Purple mohawk. More like a dark violet mohawk.
It's like a dark magenta.
All right, dark magenta mohawk.
He owns a tattoo parlor with his wife.
Dark mo henta.
Nah.
Do we end it right there?
Everybody, thank you so much for listening.
So far, I think we've had like 3 endings this episode. The never-ending episode
The never
of
ending
Hello Nudge.
episode has 3 endings. Zencaster is over here trying to end us in our
Oh, for
never
real.
ending episode.
We don't have to talk about that.
Never ending episode.
But yeah, what were you gonna say?
I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
What do you think of the name that he gave the Empress? Bastion.
Oh yeah,
Bastion
what was
gave
it?
Moonchild.
Moonchild.
I love the line delivery and how serious. I think his name is Barrett Oliver, who plays Bastion.
Yeah.
He's like, my mother had the most beautiful name. He's so serious.
I forgot that connection. Was his mom's name Moonchild?
I think that goes into a lot. We might have to see a Neverending Story too,
We might have to see it.
because that's supposed to be a big thing, like why her name is Moonchild.
Yeah, because it
And
was leading up to being okay. He thought of a name, and he said his mom had the most beautiful name. So all right, he's gonna use his mom's name, Moonchild. Hold on a second. Hold on now.
it's supposed to kind of also play into why Bastion specifically has the book and like why he can save Fantasia. He's kind of like a little bit of a chosen one kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, Moonchild is the name of it. Like, and that's the thing too. That's kind of a big reveal, and it's a little crazy. Imagine seeing that in theaters with no subtitles. We would have no idea what he said.
Moonchild.
Did you understand that it was Moonchild if you didn't have subtitles and he's just shouting it into the rain? That's what he sounded like.
I don't remember because I read it, so I don't know if I didn't understand it or not. I don't remember it sounding bad.
We can't like.
Is he the Tom Hardy of his time?
I mean, what helps is that there's a lot of wind and rain and thunder and stuff like that. But I'm just thinking, if we had seen it with no subtitles, would we know what he said?
Did you know what he said when you first saw it?
No, I didn't.
Well, there you go. I don't remember how it sounded, but I know I read it, so I guess my mind just understood it.
I wish we could do a live experiment, but I'd have to find like the video and then timestamp it. Oh, I found it. I found the timestamp on YouTube. All right. No subtitles. Just hear this out. Click the link and
Okay.
see if you can understand what
I'm not
he's
even gonna
saying.
look at the video.
So for our audio listeners, Tony is
Yeah, I was just so intrigued.
Tony is clicking on a link that is describing the latter arc of Neverending Story.
I know what he says. That's why I can hear it, but I can. Yeah, I can see why. Yeah, I can see me not understanding it if the lyrics. I mean, if the subtitles were there, because he uses the strangest combinations of syllables to say
Yeah, yeah.
"My child." So is the Empress now the Moonchild?
Yeah, her name is now Moonchild.
You know, we didn't even talk about that either. Why is that a thing? Her name having to be changed?
That is such a good point. And even Atreyu gets upset. He's like, "Really?
Like, that's it? I lost my horse.
We lost our tax."
I got a weird dragon now.
Who winks at me all the time.
He says, I don't eat kids. Wink.
He says, "I need a little luck." Wink. I don't know what that means.
He says, I got an itch behind my ear. Wink.
He said, "Are you feeling lucky, punk?" Wink.
Atreyu!
Atreyu. I want to name my next dog Atreyu. Just call him with that. Atreyu.
But yeah, we lost
We lost
our
we
tracks.
we
What's his name? A-Max. Wait, don't tell me. A-Tax. Artax.
Are you having a stroke? What's going on here? Say his name.
You know exactly who I am.
Name.
I'm the one who died in the mud. Artax.
There we go. You remember. A-Trax. A-Max.
A-Max?
Oh my god. I'm lightheaded. This is your fault.
Actually, this is the first time this happened to me for like a live action movie because anything anime related, I can't remember their names.
Yeah.
It's just too made up for me.
I remember reminding you about Zeniba, Yubaba, Haku. The only one you remembered
Where are
was
they
Lin. Anyway.
Okay. What were we talking about?
Atreyu.
Oh yeah, so why is changing the name the cure
What?
to her
Yeah.
illness?
See, I think we might know if we read the book.
That's it. We're gonna pause the episode right here. Okay, we're gonna
go
read the book.
and we'll
We're
come
gonna
back.
come back with knowledge.
Why does changing the
You're gonna cheat.
Empress's name save? It says, why does changing the Empress's name, autofill says, affect me?
Affect me?
Why does changing the Empress's name affect me? Saved Fantasia. Not to be associated with Disney's Fantasia.
Right.
Let's see here. Atreyu and the hero's journey. Making friends. Okay. Here we go. It seems silly that this is from looper.com, by the way, everybody. I want to give proper credit to Season Kohler, who is writing this, and I'm reading his words verbatim. So right here. If it seems silly that a new name might save someone's life, then you haven't considered the power of what we call things, or the power in words themselves. Okay, we're going that route, Mr. Kohler.
All right, this is getting very philosophical. Let's
yeah. Bastion is called terrible names by school bullies, and this certainly affects bullies, and this certainly affects how he with the arrival of the nothing, the childlike also childlike empress also loses
Movies.
an aspect. The childlike empress also loses an aspect of herself that must be reinvented. And one way to accomplish this is by adopting a new moniker.
You're like bashing right now. No one understood what you said.
Yeah, this With the arrival of the nothing, the childlike empress also loses an aspect of herself that must be reinvented. And one way to accomplish this is by adopting a new moniker. This new name would be a new start for not just the empress, but for her whole world. Not to mention the name Bastian chooses for the empress, Moonchild, perfectly suits her, as well as being a beautiful tribute to his dead mother.
So that was his mom's nickname.
I don't know if that was a nickname. It says right here that that's his mom's name.
Moonchild?
Yeah. My mother had the most beautiful name.
All right. I mean, it makes sense, I guess. Because this is Fantasia, a land created by hopes and dreams. So it makes sense how a name can have influence on what's going on. The rules are different there.
They said right here, like there's a lot of emphasis on like when a parent chooses their child's name, it's like giving them a gift, a meaning that they want to imprint on the kid. And that's kind of the same thing for the empress. Is that
I
since
like that.
the nothing is swallowing everything, it's also swallowed a part of her, and that is that power, that name of hers. So you have to give her a new name, and they say it can only be done by a human child because, like Bastian was gonna give her a name that was significant to him. So it's like he's putting all the love and the memories of his mom into the the childlike empress.
So just think about Michael End, that kind of name.
A beautiful ending.
Yes.
In the never-ending story.
I like that explanation a lot.
That's really
I'm
nice.
very satisfied with that.
Yeah, it's sweet.
It makes sense.
I also think like as a kid, if you read that and you can kind of get that from the book, that makes it really sweet. Like if when what your parents named you and stuff
Right.
makes you want to look up what your name means.
That's what I thought Moonchild was. Maybe his mom's name represents Moonchild or means Moonchild. Or I guess it's just literally Moonchild. First name Moon, middle name Child.
Hmm. I'm trying to look up Moonchild. And huh.
No results.
I would have to like really dig in. I don't know if we have time on this pod for me to read.
You just read an article from Looper.
Yeah, but I was reading it out loud. I would have to like
All right.
I would have to search around and be like,
I
why?
got you. One thing I want to mention before we forget and before we wrap up, the soundtrack, it's amazing.
Absolutely. It's so hopeful synth ensues. Wow.
Hopeful.
I got a lot of hopeful synth music from there.
Hopeful.
I mean, obviously not in the middle, but at the end, that's some hopeful synth music.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. I forgot to respond to that. What you said earlier, how it could be as sad as you want, but if you end it on a high note,
Yeah.
I almost felt like that too. I felt like, wow, this movie is just depressingly sad. And then when he was flying on Falcor, I'm like, all right, this ain't too bad. But then when I thought about it again, I'm like, no, this movie's sad. It's very sad. But hold on, because I was listening to the soundtrack today. Let me make sure it doesn't autoplay.
Story.
This is the names of the songs, or
Oh.
I'm not gonna say them all, but like Swamps of Sadness, that's one of them.
Mhm.
Theme of Sadness, that's another one. Mirror Gate is my favorite one. That's the one that I called out when we were watching. I'm like, wow, the song. It was like a
Yeah.
weird. It was almost like a horror theme. I don't know. It sounded really cool.
I remember, yeah. Mirrorgate.
Yeah, Marigate. We got to hear it after this. I wish I could play it for you right now, but then there's Gamork. There's Moonchild. The one that you like is called Happy Flight. There's
I like
actually
that one.
two. There's Bastion's Happy Flight, and then there's Happy Flight. So I don't know.
I think Happy Flight must have been the one with Atreyu when they're looking for the border of Fantasia.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
And
So then
then,
Bastion's Happy Flight is the end.
I like that one.
Okay. Mine is Mirror Gate, but all of these are very good. Also, Ivory Tower, very good song.
Yeah. The score is so good.
Yeah, if you just, it's that type of music that you could play in the background, and it gives you the right mood to just relax or write things or whatever. I imagine it just like drawing or being creative is awesome.
Wow, you're right. I never really thought about it with that kind of context, but yeah, I could see this being like on a. I'm trying to imagine like the name for the playlist, but yeah, like on a playlist you want to listen to while you're working on stuff.
The lo-fi hip hop girl playlist,
Kind of. It could replace your lo-fi with something more fantasy.
synth-fi.
Story synth-fi.
Yeah, but it was very good.
We're never going to get a movie like this again.
Um, Neverending Story too.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening.
Go on. This is a real one.
I did want to say it's kind of crazy because Warner Brothers is the distributor for this film. They really thought it was going to flop. They did not think it was going to succeed at all.
Oh, I
They
don't blame
act
them.
they actually kind of hedged all their bets on Supergirl, the 1984 film Supergirl. They really thought that was going to be their blockbuster. And they just kind of took on, and so they hurried the release of Neverending Story. They just wanted to get it out there, get out of the way, so that way Supergirl could go on to become the summer blockbuster. But it was very much the opposite. Supergirl flopped. It was a financial failure. And Neverending Story didn't just make its money back. I think it had a budget of 25 to 30 million. I think it capped at 65 because of like marketing and everything. And it made back $100 million. So that's not a huge success, but it did get really good critical reception. It got a lot of love. It wasn't like hated on or anything. And so it still ended up being a success. And a lot of, even like the Duffer Bros have said that they loved that movie. That's why they couldn't resist putting it in like Stranger Things and stuff. And so I think it's pretty nice that it has withstood the test of time.
Yeah, those are the kind of movies that we need. The risk we were talking about, the how different it is. And yeah, it's not going to be a blockbuster. Those aren't numbers that a studio wants to see, but look how many people you mentioned it inspired.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Makes me want to read the book even more.
I want to read the book. I think I will.
We got to start our book club up again.
I don't know if I'll have enough time though, because the story never ends.
Uh, the only bad thing about Neverending Story is that it ends.
Yeah, it has a runtime.
It has a run time.
Yeah.
Neverending Story.
You know, that's actually very relevant to what's going on right now as of this recording with Warner Brothers and
Batgirl?
Discovery.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, and Batgirl and
And
yeah.
HBO Max, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh. I know, I'm really scared for HBO Max. I like HBO Max. I don't want
Oh
it to get
man.
acquired or anything.
Yeah, this is a big problem that's
It's
going on.
a big problem. I don't want to lose HBO Max.
Don't get too comfortable with HBO Max. I hope you all like Discovery Plus.
And the David Dobrik docuseries. Ugh.
It's coming to Discovery?
No, David Dobrik did his own
Oh.
show on Discovery Plus.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of like a fluff piece for him.
For himself?
Yep,
He did the Inventor style docuseries on himself?
he did. Yeah.
Nice. No one else is gonna do it.
I mean, Casey Neistat's trying to get it out there somewhere.
He's trying to unmask the truth.
He's trying to get beyond the influence.
Above the influence.
Oh, I like that.
I mean, that's the thing already. Not my thing. A thing.
It's trademarked by people who are actually trying to get people out of the under the influence
Exactly. A much better cause.
story. But all right, I think we can end it here, right?
All right. 5th time's a charm.
Best thing about this episode is that it never really ends.
No. Let's keep going. So let's talk about Atreyu again. Because no, I'm kidding.
Best character, best boy, Atreyu. Other than Bastion, Bastion's a good boy.
Bastion's great.
Yeah,
Bastion Bucks.
Bastion Belshazzar Bucks.
Bug.
Give me a good reading of his name, Tony. Say it nice.
BBB. Better Business Bureau.
Bastion Belshazzar Bucks.
Belshazzar.
Bears Battlestar Galactica. What was the first one?
Bears beats
Battlestar
Galactica. Bears Battlestar Galactica.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. Bastion Belshazzar Bucks.
What was the name that they called him? Butthead or something?
Bastion Belshazzar Butts.
That's too good. It's set up right there. Bastion Butts.
I'm sorry, Bastion.
But it's funny. It is funny though.
This is why Artax went in the swamp. We were boarding
It was a suicide?
He was tired of you calling him Amax.
That's not the only thing I called him. I gotta hear back and see what I said. I'm not even tired. I had a good lunch.
I'm hungry. I'm running out of brain cells.
I ate so many veggies.
Really?
Yeah.
The only thing I had today was toast, and it was at 9 a.m.
Oh, this is a problem.
I'm hungry.
How do you spell bullies?
Boolie. I just know. I know in my heart of hearts that's going to end up in the doc.
All right, let's end this story.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening to this never-ending podcast episode. However, all good things must come to an end. And this was
and this episode too.
This was a good time. Come on, man. Turn around. Look at what you see. Remember, everybody, you know the drill. Like, follow, honest review, bell icon, subscribe if you're on YouTube.
Atreyu.
Atreyu.